Hi, this is Liz, and welcome to my podcast, Spiritually Speaking with Liz. I've got a real treat for you today, and I'm not going to tell you how they're connected to start with, but I'll tell you individually about them first. The first lady I'm going to introduce is Ellen. Ellen Valladares is an award-winning author, a freelance writer and workshop retreat leader. A native Floridian, she grew up in St. Petersburg and currently lives in South Florida. Ellen believes in the magic of the universe and over the last 20 years has taught numerous classes about angels, intuition, meditation, and manifestation. Her most recent release, a mystical young adult novel titled Crossing the Line, received several awards, including a Gold Award, JOS Teen Books from the 2019 Coalition of Visionary Resources, the COVR. Her other works include a middle grade novel, which is titled Jonathan's Journey to Mount Miapu, a meditation CD titled Healing and Manifesting with the Archangels, and a children's book called Fillabert, the Lonely Flamingo, which she co-authored with her brother, Steve Wilson. So, Ellen, welcome.
Thank you.
And then now we go on to the lovely Yasmeen. Yasmeen Westwood is a self-taught photo manipulation artist living in Perthshire in Scotland. Her first deck, the Tarot of Enchanted Dreams, was released in December 2019. She was a finalist for her artwork for the Empower Mums in Business National Business Awards 2019 and was a runner-up in 2 categories of the International Tarot Foundation Carter Awards in 2019 for Best Illustrator of a Deck and Best Self-Published Tarot Deck. Wow. In 2020, she won the Coalition of Visionary Resources Bronze Award in the Tarot Deck category for the Tarot of Enchanted Dreams. Yasmeen, welcome.
Thank you.
So you might wonder, why have I got these 2 ladies together? And I will tell you why. This little thing I have here. So I was gifted this oracle deck for Christmas by a close friend of mine, and because I've got a thing about hummingbirds, and I fell in love with it instantly. I loved the imagery, I loved the wording, and it just all, and without word of a lie, every day I pull one of these cards.
Yay.
After I've finished my meditation, or if my head's a bit all over, then I'll pick one first and then see where it takes me. So this is why we've got these ladies together. So before we dive into the story of how this was created, I'd like to hear a little bit about your spiritual journeys, because there's a lot going on in your bios that I've just read. So Ellen, could you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, and I love that you do this podcast and talk about everybody's journeys, because everybody has such a unique journey, but everybody kind of has something, right, that brings them here. So mine started way back in like 1995, I guess. And like a lot of people, I had a tragedy. I lost both my mother, and then I had this stillbirth of my first daughter that was stillborn, and it was my first pregnancy. And so at that point, I kind of didn't really believe in anything. But then we had this random moment where a friend of ours went to visit a medium, John Edward, who's famous, and brought this very specific message to us with the name of my name, I think, and about the baby. And anyway, and I knew in my heart like that this was true, and it just, that kind of opened me up to, I just needed to know more. So I dove in. Not only did I kind of on the side, I got into grief counseling and helping people, overcome pregnancy loss, but also personally just finding healing through my spiritual journey. And so I found angels and meditation and really my intuition. And then it helped me so much, I wanted to share it, right? So I started teaching classes. And I that's one of my passions, and just also mentoring people and helping them find alignment. And part of my, spiritual journey, because I'm a writer, so I kind of skipped that. So I was really born as a writer. So my spiritual journey has been blending the writing with the spiritual. And I think that's what came out in, these oracle cards. Oracle cards were always a big part of my journey. I think it just, it helps to reflect back to you your inner wisdom. And yeah, so I've always enjoyed them and wanted to create something. And that's kind of how this all started.
And were there any particular decks that you liked that you were really drawn to?
So interesting. I really studied with Doreen Virtue years ago, who now is kind of not
yeah.
not doing
Let's not go there then.
But right, exactly. But so I really got raised on her oracle angel decks, so, and I have to say, even though, whatever, I still enjoy those cards. So those cards and some of the medicine cards. What else do I have? I have a lot. Diana Cooper, angels, a lot of angel things, and a lot of animal cards and things like that. So yeah, so those have been some of my favorites, and not so much the tarot. And I'm going to apologize, my cat's going to go right in.
We like a cat coming in, that's good.
Zelda,
great name. Okay, Yasmeen, what about you? How did your journey start?
Trying to remember how it started. Sort of years and years ago, when I was probably about 14, 15, I used to spend a lot of time in the library, and I would come across these tarot books, and they had pictures and stuff in it. And at that time, I just read the books and I didn't really understand what they were about. And then probably about 2005, 2006 is kind of when I started looking into sort of more about learning tarot, and I started studying Reiki, and it just made sense. It just felt right. I'm a Reiki master, so I eventually worked my way up to doing that. I did Sakem. I learned about tarot. I started, I looked at some oracle decks, Doreen Virtue's cards. I had quite a few of those decks as well, but it was never anything that I was really, really into. It was just there. I was exploring it, trying to find different things. And then probably, I think 2016, and can I add that way back in school, I wanted to be an artist, but I'd never took art at school, and I ended up I ended up sort of being told, artists, go into science, become a doctor, do medicine and that sort of stuff. I didn't want to do medicine because I didn't want to cut up dead bodies, right? I thought, I'm not doing that. So I studied biochemistry. So I got my degrees in biochemistry and pharmacology. And then in 2016, I had my wee boy, who is now 6 years old, and I had really, really bad postnatal depression, really severe postnatal depression after I had him. And whilst I was going through that, I kept getting these images, kept flashing up in my head. And I kept thinking, I don't know how to do art. I don't know how to draw. How am I going to do this? And then what I did was I taught myself on Photoshop how to create that image. So I sort of learned off a tutorial. So I had my Photoshop open. I had a tutorial open on YouTube. And I was learning the techniques needed to create that piece of artwork. And that was the very first card I ever did. It's the Three of Swords in the Tarot of Enchanted Dreams. And then after that, I started seeing other images and I started creating them. But even then, I didn't click and think, it's a tarot deck. They were just images. And I found that as I was creating these images, I would lose all track of time. Any sort of depression that I felt just vanished. I was just in that moment. And the artwork just kind of happened. I didn't have to think about it too much. It just flowed. It just created itself. And then eventually I twigged, I went, wait a minute, this looks like a tarot deck. That could be the Three of Swords. That could be this. That could be that. And then I thought, okay, let's create it and see what happens. And the Tarot of Enchanted Dreams was born. And I self-published about 100 of them myself. They were instantly sold out. Then Schiffer Publishing offered me a contract. And then there was no stopping me. It was almost like I was waiting for Aaron to be born, my wee boy, to unleash that artist in me.
That's
And then
amazing.
so I've never looked back. And then since then, I can't stop creating Ask Ellen. I'm always like doing some sort of artwork or the other. But that's kind of how I came into. I don't read tarot professionally. I don't read for others like Ellen can read. I can't do that. I can read for myself if I kind of manipulate the cards to say what I want them to say. But I can't read for anyone. But I can create the artwork for sure.
And boy, can you.
For sure.
Yeah, I think you're a bit good at that.
And so yeah, that's kind of how I fell into it. It was an accidental falling into creating tarot
Well,
decks
come
and
on. There's
oracle decks.
no such thing as accidents, is
No,
there?
but
Or
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do.
yeah,
I do. So you literally had that image in your head,
yeah,
and with your Photoshop, with your tutorial, you literally
yeah,
created that on
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's crazy. That's amazing.
Thank you.
It really is. It really is. So, guys, now you've just dropped a bombshell on me just before we started, saying that you've never physically met, which I found. So,
Right.
how did you find one another? What happened?
Ellen, I'll let you tell because
Yeah.
you found me.
I found, yeah, so I'll start it. Yeah, so I was starting, I had this idea for I had been wanting to do the oracle cards. And then the hummingbird kind of entered into it, and we can talk about that later. But I was, was writing the messages, but I needed artwork, and I was just actually Yasmeen reminded me. She sent me an old email that I sent her, and I had this really bad stock art that I was trying to kind of pawn off and say this here would be the art for my cards. Oh my gosh. And I knew there was something better out there. So actually I submitted to a publisher and got totally rejected. And I was like, I think I needed an artist, but I had no idea about how it even went. I had published books, but not an oracle deck. And so I really wasn't sure, does the publisher provide the artist? Am I supposed to find the artist? So it was everything that really happened with this deck has been so magical and synergy and synchronized. But I had this incredible intuition, that I couldn't even stop myself. I had to post a question on, it's actually, we're speaking about the awards on the COVR, the Coalition of Visionary Resources. They had a Facebook page, and I was like, well, I'll post my question there. Somebody will know. And I hesitated, but then I did it. And within moments, Yasmeen answered on the post, so it was crazy. And then from there, we kind of started an email thing. And I really still didn't think, because she was kind of doing tarot and I wasn't sure, but we started going back and forth, and I sent her, well, this is what I'm working on. And, here's a sample of, one of my messages. And she sent me back the picture that's behind her right now, and I almost fainted. There
That
you go.
one.
It was just like,
That's the one
That's
used
a cover. Yeah.
the cover, and it was crazy because that's the first image that she ever did. And just as a sample, it was just like the very next day. I mean, I've never been so blown away. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I want. It was so magical and mystical, and that hummingbird, and it just had an energy to it. Like she would capture the energy of and the essence of the message. So anyway, so that's kind of how it started on our end. And then it was the most fun, which it should be, because hummingbirds are about the joy, right? And the fun. So I can't tell you how fun this project was. It was like every day that I got an image from her was a birthday present. It was like, oh my God, what's in the mail today? Oh my God, the cat is just distracting me.
And it was really good because of the time difference. So I would work, right? And then I knew Ellen would wake up to an inbox of images, and I could literally hear her screaming from the other side of the ocean, right? I always knew when you'd seen it.
Exactly.
So how does it work? So Ellen, did you send Yasmeen the wording and leave that to Yasmeen's interpretation, or did you have some little input of what you would like?
No.
No.
Oh wow.
No.
No, she literally would just send me like, sometimes it was like 5, 6 messages in one document. And then I would like, as she found out afterwards, I think it was what the begin last year you found out, I didn't even read all the message at times, right? I would just feel the energy of the message and
Well,
create art
yeah.
based on that.
Mm.
And then, she found out it was like I didn't read every single word of it. I just skip read it and then felt it. And
I was
then
like,
would
what?
no, oh, and I couldn't tell you now what any of the messages said, to be honest, right? But it would just be a feeling, and anything that I create, and the Hummingbird, the Enchanted Dreams, and any of my other decks I've created, I don't create them. And I have to say this, right? I don't create them at all. I never know what that image is going to look like when I sit at the computer. I have no idea in my head that, I had Ellen's message, but I didn't think that the Hummingbird was going to have this on it, it was going to have that on it. It just happened itself. It was almost like the universe was using me because I've got hands and I can work Photoshop, right? I thought, well, let's use her and get this image created. And I would know when to stop. I would just know, right, it's done. And then I'd
Yeah.
look at it and go, how did I create that? That wasn't me.
Really? It's
Yeah.
wow.
And
Wow.
All of
really
them.
the same goes for the messages. I mean, and so this is just right. It was all creation coming, through us,
Hmm.
And so, yeah, the same thing when I read back those messages, I'm like, wow, they speak to me because, of course, it's the higher wisdom that's coming through, not my everyday Ellen wisdom.
Yeah.
So, Ellen, would you say then that you channeled the messages? Is that fair
Yeah,
to say?
yeah,
Mhm.
yes, fair, yes.
So that's probably what I feel with them then. The energy of the two of the excitement of the two of you, and just that channeled energy
Hmm.
that, well, you've basically just been the instruments, haven't you? And it's
Absolutely.
come through.
Absolutely. We've not created any of this. I say this over and over again. I didn't create the art. The art created itself through me. I'm just there for the art to come through,
Mhm.
for every single one of my decks, including this one. This one was so much fun though, wasn't it? We had so much fun, and not once, and I'll give Ellen credit, not once did she ever ask me to change any image. Okay.
Wow.
She never ever, to this day, I don't think you've ever asked me to change an image. It was like she would send me the
Maybe
message,
tweak
I'd send her
something
the image,
little,
or
but
maybe
yeah,
little color tweaks,
yeah,
but never like, oh no, this isn't what I was thinking, or this isn't what I was feeling. Not once, no.
Well, you
no,
feel it though, don't you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And when I would get them back, it was just, yeah, it was so fun. And it is, even now watching it, it's so interesting to watch how it's come to people, because then I really also know that it was just meant to be, the cards find the people.
Hmm.
And that's kind of been amazing as well to hear how people, and everybody has like a hummingbird, like you said, you have connections, right, Liz, with the
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
hummingbird?
Yeah, and the friend that bought me these for Christmas, she is an incredible artist, and I have a shop, and she does my shop windows, and I'll send you the image that she did of a hummingbird, because she knew I was so it came to me because I have some shamanic training.
Hmm.
So I open sacred space the shamanic way, the
Mhm.
hummingbird being the north. And I, for a little while, and think we don't get hummingbirds in the UK, do we, Yasmeen? But
No, we don't. I've never seen one in real
no, I'd
life
love
yet.
to. But I could hear the flutter, of the wings.
Wow.
And so, yeah, so there was just this real connection. And then she gave me the cards, and we were going away at Christmas to a cottage in a little seaside town near us. And the actual coasters in the place were hummingbirds.
Wow.
It was just, yeah, so I was taking these with me, which I had opened at that point. And yeah, so there was hummingbird placement. They were just everywhere. It just seemed to be
Gosh.
everywhere. So what
Yeah.
made you pick hummingbird, Ellen?
Yeah, so yeah, it's funny. And when I started the creation process, they were everywhere, and not necessarily real ones. But what happened was, I guess, I knew that the what I wanted to have the oracle card, I knew the deck be about aligning with joy and well-being, and I knew that that was kind of the theme that was coming through, which really was like a new step on my path. It was kind of, I felt, the next level. So also, I write about what I need to learn about. So so I love that. It was a tremendous expansion process for me. But anyway, what happened was really that a real hummingbird, I have been in my house now for 30 years, but say then it had been 25 years. I had never seen a hummingbird here. And there's still people in my neighborhood that say they've never seen a hummingbird. But about 5 or 6 years ago, whenever it was, we had a hurricane blown through. And I think that might have blown it off track, but I heard something like hit my window. And I looked out and I saw this little hummingbird and I thought, I must be crazy. But anyway, it showed up and I kept seeing it, but just rarely, like little glimpses. And every time I'd be like, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it's just a bee or a dragonfly or I don't know. But then it kept showing up. And then it was just like, oh, okay, universe, I get it. Like just was like, okay, the cards were called something else to begin with, but then it was like, okay, hummingbird came in, and I just saw, I had the vision of a whole hummingbird deck, and I knew I wasn't the only one that has a special connection with hummingbirds. And I have to tell you, then I started hanging my nectar, and this year it's just like, oh, I expect them. I had so many this year, so it's been a reflection of how the whole process has been, that there was just this one thing I almost didn't believe in, and then it was just abundant. Now it's abundant hummingbirds. But even when, like I said, I think we took a trip 5 years ago to Innsbruck, Austria, because my husband and I had met there 30 years ago. Now we're on our 35th anniversary. Right. So I couldn't believe we kept finding pictures of hummingbirds everywhere. It was like, and that's when the deck was kind of, coming into my creation. So yeah, they're so strong at sending the signs, whether they're actual hummingbirds, which so many people have wonderful stories about that. And I've had some amazing encounters, or they can be pictures or, however they show up. I know, Yasmeen, even you've ran into a few.
I've run into a few of them, yeah, flying to London last year in Aberdeen Airport, and in the cafe, the whole wall is just like full of hummingbird art. I was like, I remember messaging you going, look, they're in Aberdeen. But yeah, it used to be funny when we were creating this, you would send me videos, wouldn't you? Look what's in my garden, and I'd have these videos of hummingbirds in her garden. It was quite funny.
Yeah.
It must be amazing to have them in your garden. I've only seen one once in the flesh, and that's when we were in the States. And they're just the tiniest
of thing.
And just how they hover. And what I love in the booklet, is that you talk about several varieties of them, not just the hummingbird. There's all the different ones, and you give a little bit of like history or nature about their flying and that they fly backwards, and you're like, whoa, how does this happen? So that's something I really like about the deck as well, that you sort of that terminology makes you think, if that little bird can do that, I can do that. It just gives you that something so small has so much power. Then we all do.
Yes, and that's what it's all about. It's like, yes, you do have this, you don't feel small, right? Because you do have that power and strength within you. Yes, there was some research that I enjoyed doing, finding all that out about the hummingbirds. But yeah, they fly for hundreds of miles. It's interesting because they come here for a few months. They get here in October, and they leave like the beginning of March. So they do have like that season. And then from there, who knows, they're flying on these long journeys. So I'm glad that I provide them a little nectar, and then off on their journeys they go. But that's why I like in the summer, we also go to North Carolina. Now I'll see more hummingbirds because they've gone north there. But yeah.
All right. Okay. So you're following.
I'm going to visit in October then.
Oh yes, well, November to be sure.
Perfect.
For our birthdays.
We will, we will meet up. Yeah, we could have like a double birthday celebration or something. That'd be quite good.
I can't believe that you haven't met, but I suppose over the whole pandemic times, then
that was what, 2019 was it, when you first contacted me, wasn't it?
Yes. And then
that's when we started creating it. Right. 2019. We've known each other since, but never met.
But so close. Like we definitely have been through a lot together, and feel feel like, we're definitely soul sisters.
Definitely.
So, incredible.
For sure. And I can't
connection
wait
that-
to meet you. I can't wait to
I
meet you.
know. I know.
It's funny because my best friend, we met when I lived in Spain. She was here, and it was on. Have you heard of Michelle Knight, the astrologer?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was on. She had like chat rooms then.
Yeah.
So this is like 12, must be 13, 14 years ago, something like that. And I was learning tarot. And so you could go and practice on people, and you could go off into these little rooms. And there was like a group of 8 people or something, and we were talking, but there was something about her humor that stood out to me. So then we went off into another little break off group, and then that's how we got chatting. And then we didn't meet because I was in Spain, so we didn't meet for years. But it doesn't matter, does it? It's still, I mean, it's magical when you do meet, but it is, when something's there energetically, it's there energetically, isn't it? Whether you're physically together or not.
Absolutely. And Ellen's been there for me in the past few years when I was going through a pretty tough time. She's been there, even though she's been like over the ocean. She's always been around. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's lovely. That's special. I would imagine, Ellen, that the deck, with you saying that you working with people with grief, I would imagine it's a really lovely, gentle way of helping people, or just giving people that little bit of a lift. Do you tend to use it with groups?
So currently I'm not really working with the grief. That was before. More I'm working with people to help connect with their confidence and clarity and intuition, and move on to sharing their gifts, like I think we all are doing. So they really go well with all that. So I love to use them in mentoring sessions, and and that's what I love. A lot of coaches and mentors I hear are, also using them. And what's very cool about the hummingbird cards, I think, is that they've kind of crossed over, because I have a lot of what I would say not necessarily spiritual friends, right? That just love hummingbirds or just love the art or whatever, and are really, enjoying using them for, for whatever reason. And I think I love that, so.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
No, that's all.
No, I was just gonna say that's special because it bridges the gap then, doesn't it? And it makes people, oh, well, if I like that, then I might go a little bit, or no, that's not for me, but I love those. So it's a nice way of bringing it all together.
And I have to say, Liz, for me, it was big coming out of the spiritual closet. So, because even though I've done the teaching and the things, it's been in my own little world, right? And I kind of have my separate worlds or whatever. So so there was like, okay, well, now they're everywhere. So
you can't hide now.
Whatever. And I'm very so proud,
so you should be, both of you. I think it's an amazing feat that you've done together. Do you think you'll consider doing anything else together, doing another project together?
We have
another deck.
It's out. Yeah.
Which one's that?
So what happened was, as the pandemic started, I was getting messages, they were just from the angels. I was getting a lot of angel messages. And then it was like, these are not just for you. And so I wanted to share them. And I said, well, Yasmeen, we're kind of done with hummingbirds. Like, what do you say? I made a little Facebook group, and I said, I'll put, if you make art, and then I'll put the messages. I felt people needed that, so in real time, we started sharing these angel messages. So anyway, that turned into a new deck, and it's out, Angels of Healing and Hope. So that's another one, and more beautiful art. And that one is a little bit more like the healing and hope part of it. I think it's has the uplifting part into it. So, and that's got some different things with it. I think people like, for me, music is a big part of the intuition. So a lot of times I'll hear songs. This happens with Yasmeen and I many times. But I'll hear a song, and then it's either telling me something, or whatever, it just starts playing. It's either the words or it means something to the person. And a lot of times that, so I use that with the card. So each card kind of has a song that kind of deepens the message for the card. And I find other people are kind of, connecting with that too. So that's cool. And I have the whole playlist on Spotify. So that was fun.
That sounds amazing.
That was fun. It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be a deck that we were creating consciously, was it? It was just let's share these messages. I was furloughed, so I was free at that point. So I was able to do the messages. When she would send me the message, I was able to create the art. And then we were like, wait a minute, this could be our next deck. And then it turned out to be our next deck for sure. So yeah, it was out. When did it come out again? End of last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
November, something last year it came out.
Yeah. So, and then we got to find the next one. We have ideas for the next ones or whatever, and just, I got a little sidetracked, but
I'm waiting for Ellen, because with Ellen, it works that Ellen does the messages first and then I do the art. I'm collaborating with another person on tarot, so I do the art first and then she does the messages. So we work better that way. But with Ellen, it's always Ellen first and then I create the artwork.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I suppose maybe with the tarot, because you know what the tarot cards are.
Could be. Yeah, could be.
And maybe that's, but I bet that's nice though, having that different way of working with somebody.
Yeah, as long as I don't have to write. I hate writing, okay? I'm not a writer, which is why I've got Ellen here and I've got Callie for my other decks. For one of my tarot decks, I had to write the book. Do you remember the palava that I had, Ellen? I was like, I can't write this. I don't know how to write this book. What do I do? And I was sending over to Ellen to have a look.
But then it all happened. It
happened and it worked out really, really well, actually, the way it was written. So yeah, but I'm not doing that again.
Never say never.
No, I've told my publishers I ain't writing. I'll do the artwork, but I'm not doing the writing.
Yeah.
So, Yasmeen, is it like a full-time job for you now?
No. I have a day job.
Oh, right, okay.
I have a very sort of different day job to the artwork. So I'm not doing it full time. No, it's my evening job. So once I'm done and the wee one's gone to bed, that's when I switch on my art laptop and sit and create my decks.
Wow, there's no stopping you then, busy girl.
There's not.
What would you say out of Yasmeen? I'll ask you first. So, out of the decks that you've created together, is there a card that represents a moment to you, or is there something that jumps out that you were just like, oh?
There's two cards. There's one in the Hummingbird and there's one for sure in the Angels of Healing and Hope deck, and Ellen's going to know which ones they are. So in the Hummingbird, Torpor, is that how you pronounce it? Yeah, is it's a special card because it does signify a moment in sort of time when in my sort of something was happening in my life at that point, and where I was tired, where I was weary, and the message of that is just rest your weary wings before you. I love that one. That's my favorite. Just take some time to yourself, just rest before you move on with your journey. So that one is my favorite one out of the whole deck. I mean, they're all beautiful, but that one, and Angels of Healing and Hope, Resilience. Is my, and they're both the same color. Okay, can you tell what my favorite color is?
That's true. Let me see if I can find it.
That was created after something happened, and I kind of lost hope with creating the deck, and Ellen was very patient. She sat and she waited until I was ready to start creating again, and that was the first card that I created, didn't I? And
right, we kind of, it was like a break in the middle, like we had, right, exactly. Oh, I have chills, exactly. And I love this card. It is so, both of them, I want to say Torpor, that's interesting, have so much, they are that blue, but they have that deep expression of emotion in them, that you can feel. Sure.
What about you, Ellen? Which would be your favorites?
Gosh, I love them all. No, okay, so well, this one fell out. This is in Angels, but Spread Your Wings.
Yes, one of my like that.
Oh wow.
I almost feel like it's me. That's why I'm like, I feel I can step right into that and just feel like and the message, I just love it too. So it's really just about being you. And I guess that's really been my whole journey, you know, to be my authentic self and to show my true colors. So that would be, oh wait, I'm looking in that deck. The other one is the Believe in Miracles, because that has a hummingbird in it too. But let me look in the I think the one in I have a few in the hummingbirds, but I like Lotus Jewel, and I like Iridescence, which again is with the colors. So I guess it's all about me showing my colors.
I've forgotten. I've got one. I'll just grab it on my. I put them on my phone as my screensaver.
Yeah, here's good. Yeah, here's the Iridescence one.
Yeah, and that's a bird at the back of the hummingbird, is the iridescence bird at the back of the cards.
I'm trying to get to focus. There we go.
The images are just stunning. I have to say they're incredible. But I'm on Reflecting Pond at the moment.
Oh, I like that one too. Yeah.
But you know, it took me a little while to see that in the mirror he's got his crown on. I didn't see that straight away. Yeah, and like you, Ellen, it's that being seen, isn't it? Being like, oh, here we go, no hiding now.
I love that, and I love that it like took you a little while to see that, like you know, and then you finally saw it, though, you know. So,
but I tell you, one I get all the time. I'm gonna see if I can find it quickly. Epic Journey.
Yes, we like that one.
I love Epic. That is one of my.
But he's sitting with his wee suitcase on the rock, looking at the mountain. Yeah,
no, it's always. I can't tell you the amount of times, and he's not here. Look now. Oh, actually.
I had that one.
Oh, there he is.
In my hand. Okay,
there he is.
Yeah, we like him.
Yes. Oh my God, he's so cute. Yeah. And I love actually that one. I was getting a lot recently because I felt like I was in the middle of a very marathon thing, and that kept coming up. So it's good to know you're just in the middle. But you've come a long way, kind of.
Yeah. And what I love about them, you know, is when I get a card deck, I never sit and look through them all. And there are still, I know there are still some in here that haven't come out for me yet. So obviously I'll see them in shuffling sometimes, but they haven't. Oh, that's my other favorite. And it
love that, Liz.
Comes up a lot as well.
I almost pulled that one out
we like
too.
him.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, see what can. So that's an interesting. I learned about that actually. I think a friend told me about him, that you know he's the symbol of kind of like, for me, I'm more familiar with the angels, so Archangel Michael being the protector and the warrior and the angel of strength, and so he's kind of the comparison to that, and I think comes from Incan he's a very strong spirited hummingbird.
He's disappeared now. Yeah, he has. I love him, and he's often, I have him on my altar. He comes up quite a bit for me as well. Okay. Yeah, him and Epic Journey, I would say, are the main ones, and then I do get Floating Stillness quite a bit.
I like that one as well. I do like them all. They're all beautiful.
They are stunning.
I was gonna say, I love that you don't look at all the cards. I had somebody else told me that too, that they like, I think with the angel deck, they told me they hadn't seen all the cards and they just pick, you know, it's like reading a book, like everybody does it a little differently, somebody or a magazine or flip to this or whatever, but I love that you don't peek.
which is unusual for me, who's somebody who doesn't necessarily like surprises. But I do. And like the other day I got, is it Sweet Surrender, the elephant?
Oh yes.
And I love elephants, and I was like, oh, there's an elephant in here, I had no idea.
So I just picked the other one of Sue Arcante.
That one's nice.
The powerful warrior. And I love the message. Do not feel small. You are stronger, braver, and more valued than you know. It's time to tap into your true sense of power. Powerful warrior. So
yeah, he was my screensaver for quite a while. I kept him going. Yeah. Oh, ladies, thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed it. And like I say, you're with me every morning anyway, but I've really enjoyed meeting you, hearing the story behind the deck, and I'm going to be ordering the next deck, and I'm going to try I've been trying to get these. Yasmeen, I messaged you, didn't I? know. So they're going to be coming in the shop very soon, because I'm always telling people about them, and I've gifted them to a few friends as well, because I really do have that connection with them, and I know one of my friends is really enjoying them. It's just been the perfect thing for her as well. So ladies, thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful for you taking the time out, and I will be getting the new deck. I will post all of Ellen and Yasmeen's details in the show notes about their decks. Ellen, have you got any courses currently running or anything coming up?
Nothing right now, just personal mentoring if anybody wants one-on-one.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll ask you for the details and I'll put those in the show notes. And Yasmeen, anything that you want to add, I'll pop in the show notes as well, but links to all your decks and everything. Thank you so much for joining me. Guys, thanks for joining us, and I will be back again soon with some more fabulous guests.
Thank you.
Bye.